Fiveish Fangirls, I love you, and I'm one of the Fiveish. In fact, I'm the biggest one of the Fiveish. I am the Sixth Doctor Colin Baker, and I wish you all well. Have fun.
The tangents we continue all the way to episode 421 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And if your to watch, to read, to consume lists have gotten a little short, never fear. We are here. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start out like we do every week with the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Happy June. It is now June. It is now very warm. I got sunburned over the weekend.
Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
The AC in our library building where I work, it only works in certain parts of the building and only on certain days. And you can never guess which day it's going to work. So that makes doing morning story times a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Note the sarcasm, please.
Oh, yeah. Duly noted, yes.
Yeah. Our problem is our apartment does not heat up or cool down equally in between rooms. So yeah. So if I'm here in the office, I'm usually freezing. And then in our bedroom, it's significantly warmer. It's like our apartment is only so big with so many rooms. It's like
you're like, can I funnel some of that cold air from one room to another?
Yeah.
And sometimes the fans to move it can help, but then it can also hurt.
Yeah. Because we only have the one ceiling fan, so such is apartment living. Whatever. But anywho, let's do the news. Not a whole lot. Although Amazon has decided that mercifully, is that a word? Mercifully? No, because there's no mercy involved.
Dang, okay.
Whatever the opposite of that is.
Okay. Unmercifully.
Yeah, something like that. I know words.
Just not coming at this point in time.
Yeah, they want to antagonize all of the Good Omens fans with just a little bit. So we got the opening credit sequence, which is in the same style as season one's, that same animation style. The theme song is still the same. It's just the adventures that little Crowley and little Aziraphale go on while the credits are going are different, and of course it's chock full of Easter eggs. So you want to sit there and watch it frame by frame by frame and look for yourself, go ahead, or I'm sure somebody's already done it. Hey, you could go read their analysis somewhere. So, but it's just like, but it comes at the end of July. That's the end of next month,
right?
Can we have a little something? I'm sure they're going to give us more. We're going to get a trailer at some point, I'm sure, the next month or so.
One would hope.
Yeah, but at this point, it's just like It's the principle of the thing, you know?
Yes. Quit poking the bear.
Mm-hmm. It's like I have so much stuff to look forward to, and every now and then I'll be like, oh yeah, Good Omens is coming back. Awesome. So
Yes.
when you really need a little kick in the pants to improve your mood,
Yes.
remember that. So that's actually really it. Other than that, it's been a little quiet. So, but we are in a new month, so that means
Yes.
book club.
Yes. So our book for this month is the Big Finish audio, Death in Blackpool, another Eighth Doctor adventure. And then book choices for next month, I'm still kind of keeping with the Big Finish theme just because I know it's coming down the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And no new books, or I mean, most of the books that are available we have done. So Light at the End, Dark Eyes Volume 1, Horror of Glam Rock, and Sword of Orion are the choices.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, all very
make
good
your
choices.
votes known. Yep, make your votes known.
Yep.
Or
Of
if
course
you have suggestions for audiobooks that you'd like me to put on, please feel free to let me know.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you know me, I'm partial to multi-doctor stories, so I'm like,
Oh,
Light
yes.
at the End!
I know there's not too many multi-doctor ones, so
Well,
Let's do the big multi-doctor one.
Yes, where they got everybody and the kitchen sink.
Yes.
Because it was the 50th anniversary audio, so.
Yes.
Go big or go home.
Rachel, are you showing your hand for what you're going to be voting for, or what I need to mark you down for? Okay.
Maybe.
Noted.
Although at the same time, I'm like, I kind of want to wait a little closer to the 60th. So.
True. Yeah.
These are first world fandom problems, seriously.
Yes.
In the worst way.
Mm-hmm.
So. Well, that is it. So let's move on to feedback. So feedback from Shalane, of course. Said, one thing I forgot to mention about the Guardians Holiday Special when Rocket got Bucky's arm, that Bucky is going to be in Thunderbolts, or Thunderbolts is going to take place before Hawkeye the series, which makes sense, which it might, if it ever happens, because right now Thunderbolts is on pause because of the writer's strike. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that one. It's very interesting to see what has been put on pause and what is still in production. Because of where you are in the production process. Like, if you've got a finalized script, you don't necessarily need writers. So, if you want to make tweaks, a lot of times the director may do that, or sometimes cast will come up with ideas for changes to the script. So I don't know where script doctors fall in that with the WGA.
I'm pretty sure they fall under that. So script doctors might just be they may be verboten from doing their jobs as well. I mean, it all depends on if you're part of the guild or not, which I'm sure a lot of the major ones are. Yeah. And if you're not, it's like, well, keep doing your thing.
Yeah. So whenever we get Thunderbolts, we will see. Oh goodness. So the other thing I forgot to mention about Karen Gillan as Nebula, I always thought she was wearing a ball cap to cover her head, but nope, she shaved it. I think her hair will grow back since she finished Guardians. As far as I know, Karen shaved her head for the first one, and she has been doing the bald cap thing for all appearances since.
Yeah, although I think she's been
I
keeping her
think
hair
she'll cut her hair shorter to make
Yeah,
it
she
easier.
keeps it. Yeah, she's been keeping it relatively short, so she doesn't have to shove all of that gorgeous, frankly, red hair
Yeah,
under the bald cap. But
yeah,
yeah, now that I mean, who knows? Who knows
yeah,
what will happen? But like,
yeah,
please grow your hair out because I'm just like, ah, all that hair, and it's so nice and red and pretty. And
yeah.
I was like, oh, how long it takes. I used to have really long hair and then I cut it short and then it went curly and I cannot keep it long anymore. So like people who have long hair, I'm like, bless you.
Yeah.
I
I've
can't
had
do it
everything
anymore.
from hair down to my butt to really,
Mhm.
really short and everything in between. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think once Karen saw just how long it would take her to grow her hair out, back out,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
that it could be a hindrance for other
Mhm.
acting gigs. So,
Yeah.
but if you have at least a little bit of hair, then you could do things like extensions.
Hmm.
But you have to have at least some hair to be able to do
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So,
Indeed.
yep. Let's see. One thing about the Barbie movie, it's kind of like the Lego movie with Chris Pratt and also Will Ferrell. Except Barbie's not animated, but it still looks fun. It kind of where it's like this well-known like toy IP product that
Hmm.
we all played with as kids, and then they make a movie about it, and we find out that it is in the real world, kind of, sort of.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a bit Lego movie-ish.
And all the fan art renderings of the mugshots with
Yeah,
two different characters have been
Yeah.
completely
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah. Well, they
Yeah. I was
made
like,
I yeah. I
what
don't
was
know
it?
if they're I don't know if there's something that are out there for the public to buy, but I saw on the Barbie TikTok that they had custom dolls that look like each of the cast members. So the Margot Robbies look like Margot Robbie and
Oh,
Shimu Luz
wow.
look like Shimu Luz. He's like, wow, his hair's
Wow.
better than mine. So
Nice.
so that was pretty funny. Which, when you think about it, is very meta
Hmm.
because they've
Yeah.
made Barbies,
Hmm.
and it's usually still the Barbie face
Hmm.
dressed up as movie characters
Yep.
for tie-ins. Because like I have Barbie in the pink Jackie O inspired outfit from Legally Blonde 2,
Nice.
uh, in storage somewhere. But it's Barbie. It's not Reese Witherspoon. So
Right.
the fact that there are now Barbies connected to a Barbie movie, but it's not the Barbie shape. It's actually the Barbie that looks like the actors. So,
Hmm.
anyway, very wild. So the last thing about streaming, I think Disney decided to stream their movies a month after it's released on digital DVD because that's what they did for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I mean, I'm sure that the time in between theater release and when it gets released on DVD/Blu-ray/digital and then goes to streaming, sure, probably is a combination of how well it's doing in the box office and what else is coming down the pipeline. I think it's a combination of that and the timing and everything. So there's people that get paid a crap ton of money to figure that sort of stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's not me. So, but yeah, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, yeah, the time from theater release to Disney Plus did seem a little fast, and that's probably because it didn't do that well in the movie theater. So, but that's just my speculation. So it all comes down to commerce at the end of the day. Dollars and cents, yo. But that is Shalene's feedback. So we're going to move on to this week's main topic, which we have not done this in like 2.5 years.
Okay, I was wondering how long it's been.
It has been a while
I know.
since we have done this.
I noticed how we're doing this. And I'm like, oh wow, it has been a while, but here we go.
But considering that our birthday is coming up this Thursday as we're recording this,
Yes.
June 8th, which is also Colin Baker's birthday.
Yep.
Which, by the time you listen to this, you've already heard the beginning of the show, and now you know why Colin Baker's bumper is the one that's opened up this episode.
And it's not just because Rachel's the one who edits the episodes together.
Yeah.
Now, is this also our golden birthday? Or do we have one more?
No, yeah, we have one more. This is 9 for us. So
okay.
This is going to be number
Gotcha.
9.
Number nine, okay.
Number 9.
So wait, that would have been last year then.
Last year was their golden birthday.
8 on the 8th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Which means next year we'll be doing 10. And I have no idea. I have no idea how we're going to celebrate next year. But we'll have a year to figure it out.
Yep.
An in-person meet would be so appropriate, but holy cow,
it would be.
Yeah.
It would be. Someone who's got money, make that happen for us, please. But in the meantime, we figure for our
Patreon.
Our 9th birthday, that it would be fun to kind of check in with all of us and see what the heck we're all doing in between podcast recordings besides our day jobs. What do we got going on? What are we watching? What are we reading? That sort of thing. So, and very appropriately, that's exactly what we're going to start with. Reading.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Some of us
Be
are
prepared.
ridiculous.
The show notes are going to be full.
Not that your to be read lists are like short or anything, but
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, I just finished like a handful of books, like in the last month or so. So I'm well on pace to meet my Goodreads goal for the year. So like the stuff that I've finished recently, because I still think it bears mentioning, is, let's see, most recently finished in the last couple days is cast The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson, which is she's a Pulitzer Prize winner. And it is an examination of the caste system, and how it is shaped, mostly America, but she also dives into the goose steppers of the 30s and 40s, because they did something very similar. So in comparison, and some of the way that India imposed a caste system, both before and after the partition.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I was like, India is pretty infamous for, and with their caste system is still affecting their society to this day. In fact,
yes,
yeah. So it gets interesting. Let's just say that.
Yeah, there were several times where she would be talking about something and I would just be like shaking my head, like, really? People, really?
Yeah.
This is how we treat each other?
Yeah.
Like,
seriously?
Yeah.
Well, you've seen Twitter.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
You've seen Tumblr.
Yeah.
You've seen social media. Like,
yeah.
You've seen parts of Facebook.
Like, it helps.
The attitude is just that's human nature.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say.
It puts a lot of things into perspective. But I mean, it still is, it's not pleasant to read about it. So if you don't get through this book and you aren't just slightly pissed off, then I think there might be something wrong with you, honestly. Either pissed off or disappointed or sad for the people that have been affected by just human nature.
Or if you are a student of history and you just have no faith in humanity anyway, you're just kind of like, yep, I know, everyone's assholes.
Yep. So yeah, I just finished that a few days ago, and then before that I read, most of these are audiobooks, but I still refer to it as read, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Nice.
By Roald Dahl, narrated by Eric Idle.
Oh, nice.
That is very appropriate.
And he makes voices. He tries to do voices for all the characters, and it's hilarious. And it's really wild how different the book, the Gene Wilder movie that we've all come to know and love, diverts from the book. Apparently the Tim Burton version is actually way more
spot on
to the book. So
which is just crazy to think about, honestly, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And then Dying of Politeness, a memoir, which is Gina Davis's memoir.
Cool.
Which the audiobook is read by her. And quite she's quite fun to listen to. And of course, she's been in Hollywood for a very long time as an actress. So of course she's got all sorts of stories to tell. Yeah, I told Chauncey at one point when I was listening to it, I said, so Gina Davis goes to work on A League of Her Own, and at that point she'd been in Hollywood for a while and was making a name for herself. She'd done Beetlejuice and The Fly and movies like that before League. But because of the way she was raised, she's always tried to be pleasant to everybody. Speaking, like kind of a caste system even within Hollywood, how like, directors and stars of films are treated a certain way versus like, the poor person that has to duct tape down wires maybe isn't looked upon as nicely. So she's always tried to be treat everyone equally, regardless of what their title may be. So that she goes to do a League of Her Own and meets Tom Hanks. And she gets she's mostly joking, but she becomes royally pissed off at just how nice he is and how much nicer he is than she is.
It's a nice off around here.
It was. So
Nice off. I love it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Competition
I
of
mean,
how nice everyone can be.
Yeah.
That's what we need more of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then if you want to smile, this I actually have a physical copy because it was given to me as a gift. But it's Carol Burnett's book, In Such Good Company, 11 Years of Laughter and Mayhem.
Ooh. Oh, I'm sure.
And
mayhem.
Fun in the
Oh, yes.
Sandbox. Yeah. So it's mostly about her time on the Carol Burnett show.
Especially with Tim Conway and
her co-stars and all the guest stars and stuff. It's a few years old because I think this was printed in like 2016.
Okay.
So unfortunately she talks about a few people that are no longer with us, like Betty White.
Mm-hmm.
Like Carol in this book is talking about how she's excited to celebrate Betty's 100th birthday with her.
Oh.
So it's like, oh, she didn't know it was 2016.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah. Well, People magazine put that out right before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we all thought Betty was going to make it. So.
Yeah.
We all did, yes.
So those are all ones I recently finished. At the moment, I am listening to Everybody Wins 4 Decades of the Greatest Board Games Ever Made.
Nice.
I know sounds like it could be very droll and
sounds interesting.
Academic. It's not, especially if you do the audio version. It's read by the author. His name's James Wallace. He's British.
Ooh, cool.
And he injects some of his own opinions and cracks jokes. And sometimes pokes fun at some of the games. Because he's like an expert. So he knows a thing or two about the different game types and mechanics and game design and stuff. But because he's British, of course, it's in that dry British humor that I find utterly hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And there have been several times where I'm listening to it in the car and he will say something and I about spit take all over my steering wheel. So and I am a quarter of the way through that, so it's a long book. So I got a ways to go. But once I finish that, I have already gotten from my library on the Libby app is Scar Tissue, which is Anthony Kiedis's memoir. Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That should be interesting.
I'm sure it will be. It is not read by him. It is read by Writer Strong, but yeah, I'm sure it will be quite interesting. So I'm kind of on a biography history kick.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Mm-hmm. Those can be a lot of fun, especially if you get like with the audiobooks, you get a good narrator. They're just fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am at the moment. I could do more, but you guys have to go too. So
yeah. Okay. Well, I've just been
Yeah. Chrissy, you can go and then I can go
Oh,
if you
okay.
want. That's
Well,
fine.
I've kind of been doing both audio and Kindle / print books, and I'm going to say, using my authority as a librarian, listening to audiobooks is reading.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because honestly,
Yes.
sometimes that is all the reading, that's all the time, that's all what I have time for. So
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
on my commute, I listen to audiobooks and things like that. So today,
Yep.
actually, I just finished The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. Um, if you are familiar with her work, she has written books like Salt to the Sea. What's the other one? Between Shades of Grey. She does historical fiction, primarily young adult, but she's also known as kind of a crossover author because so many adults also read her stuff. But her forte is kind of historical fiction about times in history that don't get a lot of attention. Um, like Salt to the Sea, which I think is my favorite one of hers I've read, is about the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff, which I had no idea about until I read this book. And that is about the ship that sank because the World War II was ending and people were trying to escape Germany, I believe, and they just overfilled this ship with people. Like, we talked about the Titanic, how there were not enough lifeboats and everything. Well, this ship, it had too many people for its capacity because everybody was trying to just get out. And if I remember right, it hit a really bad storm in the Baltic Sea, and just sank like a rock, just because it was so overfilled. Um, and she just has this way of just weaving narrative. Well, anyway, Fountains of Silence is again about a historical event that does not, isn't talked about enough, but it is about, so the Spanish Civil War happened in the 1930s. And
Mhm.
this is about, yeah, Holly, you spent some time in Spain, if I remember right. Yes?
Yes.
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 So,
Yes.
so this is about the immediate aftermath and how, Francisco Franco was the
Franco, yep.
dictator. Yeah, Franco.
Mm-hmm.
He was a
Yep, it was Franco.
dictator, and all his political enemies, or people who did not agree with him, they were basically considered persona non grata,
Yep.
to the point they took their children away, and they
Uh-huh.
lied about, like mothers would go in to have babies, and this baby's perfectly healthy and fine, but then the doctors would take the baby away and go tell them, oh, your baby died, because and they're considered and it's all because the parents, maybe their parents were on the wrong side of the war, and so now that we have to purge this, they call it the red gene, I guess, because it's
Yep.
yeah.
That's ringing
So
bells, yeah.
yeah. So
Major
and
time of terror in Spain at that
pretty
time.
much. Anyway, this book, it follows this girl named Anna, who is she lives in Spain. Her parents were the Republicans that were beaten in the war. Their father was killed. Her mother was a prisoner, and then was killed. And she is working at the American hotel because they finally started letting Americans come because Americans had money and they could, business interests, and they wanted to show off, hey, look, Spain is so amazing and we're not under a ruthless dictator, and we're going to show off the very best. So Anna is working at the hotel, but she lives with her siblings and just this, it's it's not even, calling it a shack would be a compliment is overselling it. But this boy from Texas, well, he's like 18 or 19. His parents, his dad is in oil, but he's a photographer. He doesn't want to go into the family business. But his mother's from Spain, and he speaks Spanish, and he wants to see the real Spain and take pictures of it, because he wants to go, because he's like a finalist for a photography contest, and he gets in with the actual journalist that's attached to the American embassy, and a lot of things happen, and it's told from several different points of view. For there's Daniel, who's the American kid. There's Anna, who's the maid, at the hotel, and the hotel, working at the hotel is actually a big deal because Americans tip very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So they get money. But then like her sister, they have a baby, and she's a seamstress, and her sister's husband works like at a slaughterhouse. And there's this other guy who's friends with her other brother, who he wants to be a matador so he can earn money to help protect the kids. But he grew up in an orphanage, and he's like always known about this whole stolen babies, but he could never. But it's like a police state. So
Right.
So it's just, I mean, if you've never read anything by Ruta Sepetys, you really should rectify that, because she is just so good at getting the historical documents and researching history and putting like a human face on it, because like all of these characters I could totally like, and I'm just learning about this history, and but I could totally see that these characters could be real people.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the point of view that they're expressing and what's going on, and basically the whole theme of the book is they're scared into silence, that the silence just kind of makes it hard for this story to get out, for people to know and understand what's going on. But they are so conditioned by the totalitarianism that they just don't talk about it. And and even there's like an author's note at the end where she talks about how there are people that want to talk about it, but then like their elders are like, oh no, we don't, it's over, it's done with, it's in the past, we're not going to discuss it. That it's like only recently that they started to like open up cases of children who were taken from their parents, and their parents were told that the baby died, but then they go to orphanages, and the babies are adopted to families that no idea, like the one baby in the thing in the story, they just say, yeah, she was just left here, just abandoned, we have no idea who she is or who her parents were or what her name was, and they just assign her a number. But it turns out she actually does have parents, and their parents are wondering where she went, and they're very upset. So anyway, that's Fountains of Silence. I probably spent more time on that than I should have, because I have other books I want to talk about. But yeah, I just finished it today. I loved it. And yeah, now I'm like, I got to go research this, because holy cow, this is just, it's heartbreaking.
And
I mean,
even later with some of the stuff that Franco did, and then him getting out of power, it's shocking and eye-opening. Let's just put it that way, from the history class I haven't seen. I've got this on my to purchase pile.
Well, move it up, because oh boy,
I think I'm going to, because it does. I mean, I enjoyed my time there. I love the history from Spain, so this one's most definitely going to be on my list.
And it's interesting because you go through history, and they talk about the Spanish were in the 1500s, 1600s, they were this kind of this superpower almost, because they're exploring and colonizing and doing all this stuff, and they have money and wealth, and then they just kind of disappear from history as being an important country. And it's just kind of like, I'm like asking, why is that, like what happened? So now I'm like kind of getting into this whole thing. So it's history is just, it's fascinating, it is sad at times, well, a lot of the time, but it just, you just kind of think like,
cyclical.
Yes, history, I'm just sitting there going like, I mean, some of this isn't perfectly familiar, but there's a ring of, it rhymes, let us say, history rhymes. So anyway, but yeah, I just anytime, and I had no idea that this book was out, and I was like, it's Ruta Sepetys, I need to read that, and that's all I needed to know. But yeah, so she's highly recommended. Fountains of Silence, really great. And then kind of going down my list, I found this one. It's called Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. I found this one on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have a Kindle, if you have a KU account, or it's on Amazon. So this one's a fantasy. I'm still in the middle of it. Basically, the premise is this girl named Tisana she is enslaved in one kingdom, but she has magical ability, and she wants to go, study at the academy for magic users, and there's like two different kinds of magic. There's the magic connected to the night and the magic connected to the day. And she escapes from her captor, and she gets to the academy, like basically, she's like on the run and on her own, and like she's practically dead by the time she gets there. But they're all like, oh, well, all the mentors have been given out, but there's this one guy who's kind of a hermit, and he doesn't want to be part of the order anymore. But we'll make him help you. But his magic is like the opposite of hers, and he's actually not that much older than she is. But he teaches her, and she figures out. It's also interesting how they explain that she's speaking a different language. I mean, obviously when you write a book, you kind of have to have your audience know what's going on, so it has to be written in English or whatever. But like, she will say things like the grammar isn't quite right, and they're all like, oh right, that's Tisana speech. That's just how, because like she knows the language, but she doesn't quite. It's kind of an interesting, it's kind of a fun little mechanism in the book where it's like, oh yeah, I get it. She doesn't know the language very well, so she has to substitute words that kind of work but kind of don't. And her mentor, Max, is his name. Well, it's short for something, but I can't pronounce it. But they call him Max all the time because he hates his long name. But he's like, okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And there's a little bit of a love story going on with those two, and all is not as it seems in the kingdom, speaking of. So I'm only halfway done with it. But it's really good so far. It's the first in a series, so I'm kind of hoping to keep on with the series. And then this next series that I've actually been listening to on audio is the Charlie Davidson series by Dorinda Jones. The first book is First Grave on the Right, I think. Anyway, it's a 13-book series. It's already finished. It's been out for a while, but the premise is Charlie Davidson. Well, it's short for Charlotte. She is a private investigator who is also the Grim Reaper. But in this case, the Grim Reaper, she helps people who have passed on, but who have not crossed over. If there's unfinished business, or there's stuff they've got to, that they just haven't, gone to the other side yet, and she helps them do that. But then, so it's a little bit, and then because she can talk to people who they call them the departed, because she can talk to the departed, she can actually ask people who like have been murdered or been victims of crimes, like, hey, what happened? And her uncle is a detective, and it takes place in Albuquerque. So he's a detective with the Albuquerque Police Department. And so she can and she's done this since she was little. She can give him hints of, hey, go check this place out, or this is what happened. And her dad and her uncle know that she has this ability, but there's like more to it. So I'm like on book 5, I think. Yes.
Okay.
I took a quick break.
When I saw you had this, I'm just like, why does that sound familiar? Come to find out, I have the whole series on my Kindle, because a long time ago there was this whole great big snafu with pricing. And I got big time refund because of the price gouging, so I could buy. And I bought this series without realizing. It was like, because somebody had recommended them to me. I bought them, completely forgot about them. So now I'm going to have to go and.
Yeah, you really should. It's kind of in that vein of like the Dresden Files, because she's really sarcastic and kind of jokey a little bit about things. I mean, she's the freaking Grim Reaper.
Right.
I mean, some pretty terrible things do happen to her. I won't spoil what it is. But like what happens, because I listened to the audiobook, and I think it was almost 10 times worse listening to it than it probably would have been reading it. But it's done in such a way that it's like the author is like, okay, I'm pretty sure people are going to be squicky about this and probably have a hard time with it, so I'll just kind of describe what's going on so you get the gist, but not like be real gory, if that makes sense. And then she does have to deal with that in later books, and it's actually pretty respectful about that kind of thing. So nice, but it's a lot of fun, and she's like I said, she's quippy, she's got a good sense of humor, and again, there is a love story, and that kind of thing to it. So it's fun, and yes, they all make jokes about her name being Charlie Davidson. But she just goes with it, and it works out. And then my last one, this is The Queen and the Knave by Sarah M. Eden. It actually isn't out yet. I got the e-arc from NetGalley, but this is the 5th book in the Dreadpenny Society series, which is a series. It's a Victorian historical mystery / romance series. It's under the proper romance label. It's published by Shadow Mountain, which is a local publishing house here in Utah. But this one, it most of the proper romance are like, sort of your Jane Austen-y type of historical fiction. Well, this one's also a little bit of a mystery and a thriller, because it is the Dreadpenny Society is a society of penny dreadful authors, and the story actually goes into like the history and cultural significance of penny dreadful stories.
Cool.
But these penny dreadful authors who, like, their leader, he's more like the second in command, because their leader is the Dread Master. You don't know who this person is throughout the series, but Fletcher Walker is sort of the head of the society, and he used to be like a street urchin who worked his way up, and now he's like he is very well off because of his writing success, and this is all in the first book. And the society is dedicated to like helping out, street urchins, orphans, widows, people who are in trouble, because there's a lot of really creepy people who would take advantage of them. So the society, the DPS, as they are called, they use their combined skills and resources, because there is another man who's actually is a gentleman, but he writes penny dreadfuls under a pseudonym because he likes it. It's fun. So the 5th book is, like I said, The Queen and the Knave, which will come out in September. But start with The Lady and the Highwayman if you want to read it. It's a lot of fun, and it's because they have to figure out, like, the first book, they're like trying to figure out who's stealing these urchin kids, like, and who's making them commit crimes and things. They want them to get out of these dangerous situations. And so it's like they're doing charitable work, and they're also taking down like crime bosses and all these things. At the same time, they're writing penny dreadfuls, and there's actually there's always 2 different penny dreadful stories that are like intermingled with the main story. And you get so invested in these penny dreadfuls because it's a different story, but it kind of ties into the main story of what's going on. And so you're like, you're reading along and like, okay, Fletcher and Elizabeth and everybody, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's this ghost story that Fletcher Walker's been working on, and I'm like, oh, I gotta know what happens next. And in fact, they are putting out a collection of all the penny dreadfuls. It's just like called the Dreadpenny Society collection or something. So that's going to come out, and it's going to have all of the penny dreadful stories in there. And it's very cool. It's very like leaning on like the tradition of like pulp novels, dime store stories, which are kind of the low literature at the time, but they're also very just fun and entertaining. And some are kind of creepy, because there's one in one of the stories, or because there's one of the penny dreadful authors. He's a doctor, he's a surgeon, but he writes penny dreadfuls on the side. So he's writing this story about a grave, well, what do they call it? A grave digger, I guess, or the what do they call them? It's what the people who like exhume dead bodies to for medical research, I guess. I know there's a name for it.
Forensic pathologist?
Necromancer?
No, like they just there's even a big Finnish audio about it. Burke and Hare those guys. They dig out bodies and sell them to people because they're like
Grave
studying
robbers.
grave robbers. Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, he writes a penny dreadful that is sort of that's supposed to be based in fact, but it's really not, or there's a little bit of urban legend to it. So it gets a little creepy, but also fun. So anyway, that's the Dread Penny Society. It's wrapping up in September, and I have an e-arc of the Queen and the Knave, and I don't want to talk too much about it because there is a huge reveal at the end of book 4, and if you haven't read book 4, or if you haven't read the series at all, it took me it took
Threw
me
you for a loop.
yes, very, because it has to do with the Dread Master's identity, and like, because the whole time everyone's thinking like, well, who is it? We don't know, and they all think it's Fletcher, and he continually just denies it. It's not me. It's not me. But they're like, well, who the heck could this be? And yeah, seriously, it's like it's the last person you could think, and that's probably too much spoiler as it is. So anyway, so that's what I've been reading so far. I could go on, but other people need to turn.
Same here. I've been going back and checking out some of the early Dungeons and Dragons novels. The Dragonlance series by Margaret Rice and Tracy Hickman. The first book is called The Dragons of Autumn Twilight, where the group gets together and they have to deal with these dragons. And then I've been trying to find other ones and checking the used bookshops and finding some on the cheap, and kind of been doing the Doctor Who thing where I read one, I'm like, okay, well, let me try that one. And then it references something like, oh, okay, I've heard that, and get more backstory. So they're really enjoyable. Kind of the ones that aren't done by Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss are a little bit shorter, about 200 to 300 pages, while their main ones are 300 to 400. But I find them enjoyable. Some high fantasy, but you get all the fun enjoyment. And then 2 kind of laugh out loud funnies by one author that I'm sure Christy is familiar with, because he's now in your hometown, lives in your state. The Dan Shambles Zombie PI series by Kevin J. Anderson. And what it says on the tin, Dan Shamble was a investigator, winds up getting killed, coming back, and he's still solving crimes with his buddy. And oh my goodness, the humor in these are absolutely fantastic. And then also by Kevin J. Anderson, it's the business series, and the first book is Dragon Business. So it's kind of how to explain it. It's his version of fantasy, but it still has the humor aspect to it. Princess Bride, and I wouldn't say Game of Thrones, but there's the good humor there. Well worth the reads, because his second book for that one is coming out via Kickstarter, and he's got the print books. I'm not sure when it's going to hit the main brick and mortar where you can order. It should be coming up. Then I've also been reading the Dipping My Toe into the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. That's, how shall we put it, fantasy meets Monty Python.
I was like, I haven't done the Discworld. I'd started with oh crap, what's it, The Long Earth, which is also Terry Pratchett, which is okay, but I wonder if I should probably just jump on the bandwagon and go over the Discworld, because that's what everybody says. If you're going to read Terry Pratchett, that's what you should read. So
yeah. And then the last one that I'm reading right now is called Empire of Exiles by Aaron M. Evans. It's basically this whole kind of intrigue. 23 years ago, a Duke with a grudge takes over the empire, gets rid of a whole bunch of people. The Duke fails. His sorcerer pal got put in jail, and Princess
you do.
disappears, like you.
Right.
And now an apprentice who's doing all the scribe work comes to the city, thinking he's doing a different job and getting some relics for his job at the archives, but they're instruments to cause another revolution.
As you do.
Right. So they're
Let's say,
trying.
wait a minute, wasn't this kind of the premise of the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Not kind of, but not quite. Nope. So, and this guy happens to witness the murder and believes the story. So now they got to get down to the bottom of the thing and find out who has the key to help them stop this from happening. So I'm thinking it's part of a trilogy or a 4-book series, but so far I am enjoying it. It's a very interesting kind of high fantasy, but still a touch of a Dungeons and Dragons feel to it too, because Aaron M. Evans has written in the Lost Realm universe from what I've done for my research.
Yeah, I was just like, I know that name. Why do I know that name? And
I
I was
think it
looking
was
it up,
the
like-
Redstone Angel series
hmm
is the ones that she worked on.
Okay, yeah. That's the first one that popped up after, because I searched Empire of Exiles, clicked on her name, like, yep, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yes. That is what I have been reading.
I don't know. Brittany just bought some stuff because of her birthday.
I did.
Yeah, we were just like, you want suggestions? Here you go.
Yeah, but I just bought the Witcher.
That's
series.
right. Yes.
And I've been wanting to read these because I've seen at least the first season of the Netflix show, and I really liked it. I played bit of the third game before it got off Game Pass, and I really liked that. So I'm like, I'm gonna get these books. I've been meaning to get them for years. And then Saturday, I went to Barnes and Noble, and they were there, and you're like, you know what? Fine, I'm just gonna buy them all. And then
Best way to do it, because then you
Yes,
know you have
exactly.
have
them.
to wait.
and I was gonna start reading the first book. It's the second, I think, like either the second or third one actually published, but the recommended first one to read, which is a bunch of short stories. Lo and behold, I find that I left that one in my sister's car.
Oh no.
So I'm like, oh no, and with our schedules, we don't get to meet up so fast. I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? So I decided to just go to Audible because I still have a lot of credits. I'm like, I'm just gonna get
There
it
you go.
on audio. So, and I just started listening to it this morning on my way to work, and I'm like, I think about a quarter way through of it. And it's
Well,
really
this
good.
way it'll give you an idea of how some things are pronounced. So when you read back to it.
Exactly, especially because like it's a fantasy book, and the author who like wrote it, he's Polish, and I think he's, even though it's translated into English, but I think they still have a bit of his influence in it. So I'm like, how did I pronounce some of these creatures and character names? So, besides that, that's all I've kind of been reading, because lately I just been in a rut. Like, I have all these books I want to read. I haven't been able to decide of what. Like, I have all these books that I already own, and then the library has all this stuff to offer, and I've been like, ooh, do I want to read that? I just couldn't decide.
Sometimes
Until apparently
necessity is a good way to get going, because I had that Carol Burnett book on my shelf for absolute ages, and it was just sitting there. But then a couple weeks ago I had a tattoo appointment, and I was like, you know what, instead of playing on my phone, I'm gonna take a book. So, which is easy enough when you're getting it when you're getting a tattoo on your leg and you don't have to lay funny. So I was just able. I mean, I probably got at least halfway through the book just during my tattoo session. So
that really is the secret to getting a lot of books read is, when you're waiting somewhere, the doctor's office, or getting a tattoo or whatever, you and you have a lot of downtime, instead of just flipping around on your phone, read a book.
Yep.
And your phone can have a Kindle app or your Libby app or whatever app you want to use to read books. So
And the nice thing is those sync. If you have the main Kindle unit and it's at home, it will automatically pick up where you left off. And same thing if your Audible got the Whisper sync to it. Boom.
Yes, I have done plenty of hybrid listening and reading, because if I can't read or I can't listen, but I got to work and I have to go in, I'm like, crap, I gotta know what happens next. So I'll be like, reading under the desk and like, oh, that's what happens. Okay. So yeah, if you ever think I don't have time to read, make time. You can do it.
Yes.
Yep.
You can do it. All that wasted downtime, you can make it. Now, if you're like me and you have thousands and thousands of unread Kindle books and you can't decide which one it is, or which one to read, there's nothing I can do to help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Same here.
I have so many physical. I have so many Kindle. I have audiobooks I haven't.
Just a good hint: if you're indecisive reading like I do and switch to another book, just make sure you stop right at the end of a chapter.
Yes, that too.
So don't stop in the middle of a chapter. That's
exactly.
Then you go back. Yeah, then you go back and try to read it, and you're like, "Now, who the heck are these people? What's going on?"
Yes.
Oh, that's happened to me before. Like, I've stopped, and then like when I go back, I'm like, "What?" So I have to like go back to either like the beginning of that chapter, or sometimes, depending on how long it's been since I read the book, all the way at the beginning
of the book.
Oh well.
Yep. Oh yeah. Been there a few times.
Guilty. So yeah.
All right.
Well, so there's our book talk.
Yep. So moving on to what are we using our eyeballs for when we're not reading? Weird segue in there. So what are we watching? Which in my case is not the whole lot, because I don't watch TV generally. So it's pretty much either streaming services or YouTube, which I've got a crap ton of YouTube channels that are always cranking out new content, so I'm always trying to get caught up with those. So, but that being said, we recently got Paramount Plus, and it just so happens that it has all 16, because they brought it back, all 16 seasons of Criminal Minds.
Hello,
which I have been slowly binging. I'm in like halfway through season 3. It's one of those shows that I would catch it in reruns when it was on. Usually, like if I was traveling, it was one that you could usually find on a hotel room TV channel, right up there with all the 5 million bazillion episodes of Law and Order.
Yep.
These crime procedurals, they just make them and they just crank them out. So,
like Pringles, they keep making more.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but I never actually properly sat down and like watched the series. Like, I know all the characters,
Yeah.
I know the characters' personalities, but I never just like watch in order to get like the progression of the relationships and stuff. So that is now what I'm doing.
Yeah, and from what I remember,
Darcy
there are
is still my
some
favorite,
episodes
even yeah.
get a little dark, but they're still good.
Doesn't get quite dark.
It can
Yeah,
get
quite
very
dark,
dark.
Yeah. Yes.
If I'm watching for guest stars,
Oh yeah.
so
Yep.
I mean, obviously the first 2 seasons and some change, it's you've got the cast that you kind of start with, and then things get shuffled around going into season 3. So you're like your core BAU group changes a little kind of quickly when you consider how long, how many seasons there are.
Yep.
But yeah, but it's also fun to watch for guest stars. There's like a lot of character actors where you're like, I know I've seen that face before, and then you go to their IMDb and they're like, they played, homeless person number 2 in Law and Order or whatever, and they're like, airport person, plane passenger number 5 on some other show.
Yep.
But occasionally you will have very recognizable guest stars, well, I posted in the chat, there's an episode Jim Beaver from Supernatural.
Bobby.
He plays a sheriff, pretty much the same attitude.
Yep.
He just says sons of bitches instead of dumbasses.
Yeah. I mean, basically when Jim Beaver comes on, they just kind of, that's his personality, that's his shtick. So they're just like, okay, here, just be your grumpy self.
Yeah. What swear word are we going to have you say repeatedly so we don't get them confused? So people are like, you're just playing that other character.
Yeah. And then there was another one that is in the middle of season 3 that has Frankie Muniz.
Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, I think I know that episode.
Although I think this was his post. Well, I don't know if this post Malcolm or not. It's late 2007, so
I can't remember.
Every post very late. When in the middle.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's kind of fun to watch faces pop up. Like, hey, I know you. Where do I know you from?
This is gonna kill me until I find you on IMDb. 3:00 in the morning. Oh,
I know that there's some like big names that end up guest starring that I'll come across eventually. Like, I know Mark Hamill is a guest star in one. Tim Curry is a guest star in an episode. So, but I haven't gotten to those yet. So, but it's like, I don't know why, but I was just like, oh, Criminal Minds. The show was pretty good. Oh, it's on Paramount Plus. Okay, so like if nothing else looks good or whatever, then I'm just like, yeah, let's go watch some episodes of Criminal Minds.
And if you need to lighten your palate, there's always Star Trek to go and dive into.
That is true.
That definitely.
Yeah, after some of those episodes, you might need that.
Yeah, it's like I need to go watch Kirk, punch out a guy in a rubber suit.
Yep.
Maybe.
Or I need to see Q harass Picard for a little bit.
Oh, that too.
Or just, bust out a classic Doctor Who episode.
Or there's that too. Yep.
That too.
It's like, oh, that was horrible, and it's time to go watch the 2 Doctors for the 5 bazillionth time. So, and then what little live TV I have been watching. And I've made Nick and apparently Nick's father quite proud because I have jumped on the Inter Milan football team bandwagon. I've watched more soccer in like the last month or so than I ever have in my entire life.
It gets kind of addicting after a while, doesn't it?
It kind of is. It kind of is. I mean, I wouldn't have any idea like, what to watch if I was just like, oh, I'm gonna start watching soccer. I would have like not known what team to watch. So thankfully having, someone who is a fan and that's their home team.
Right.
Helps.
It's nice.
So,
It's nice to have a guide.
yeah.
Yes.
It also helps that Inter Milan is actually a decent soccer team as well. So
Well, yes,
they've been
it's
quite
like,
fun to watch. And I mean, if you're gonna watch any live sport like on TV, quote unquote on TV, although thankfully all of like the European soccer is also live streamed on Paramount Plus. In fact, Inter just got Paramount Plus as a sponsor. The Paramount Plus logo is now on their jerseys. So
Nice.
well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, but their season's almost over. They finished all their regular season games, but they're playing for the big championship this coming Saturday against Man City. So yeah. So Nick and I will be if it's a weekend and he's not doing his radio show, he's usually over at a friend's house, have with a bunch of people watching the games, and then like, some of them may be fans of the other team, whoever Inter is playing. But then Nick and I will be in the Facebook chat, like talking about like, oh, that was close, or like, complaining about the refs, or
per usual. Yep.
Putting up happy gifs when Inter scores, and then putting a boo hiss type gifs when the other team scores. So
I have to interject in here really quick because I have a funny story about booing the refs. So when I was a kid, my parents, our family had season tickets to the Jazz, and the 90s, the Jazz were pretty good. Couple of finals appearances and stuff. Well, my dad, he took one of his older brothers. He's in his family, he's the youngest. The next oldest is like 15 years older than him. So his siblings are all way older than him. And he took his oldest brother to a Jazz game, the professional basketball, NBA. And back then the Jazz just had this really, it's a professional basketball team. It's the NBA, but it also had this kind of real hometown feeling. Like, this was all our team. This is our community sort of thing. It's kind of gotten away from that in recent years. But anyway, so my dad took my uncle, who was like way older than him, to this game, and the refs made some call. I can't remember what it was, and everyone started booing. And my sweet uncle, bless his heart, looked at my dad and was like, "You actually boo the refs?" And my dad is like,
"Yeah,
well, if they're really bad, sometimes we're afraid they might not make it out alive."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just part of the game.
Yes.
Like, yes, we boo the refs.
Yeah.
You have to. So that's just, doesn't matter what sport you're watching. The refs are your enemy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like, I don't know enough about like the actual like mechanics of soccer. So like, I know there can be like fouls and stuff handed out, but I have no idea what actually constitutes a foul or anything. So, when the ref calls a foul, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
Well, the hometown team will let you know.
Yeah, pretty much. I just look in and be like, are we happy? Are we not happy? Okay. That just kind of gives me my indicator of how I should feel.
Do the doggy head tilt? Does that look like a foul? Okay, I guess if you say so.
Yeah. So it's been, but I mean, as far as sports go, soccer is probably one of the best ones to watch because they're 90-minute games, but the clock doesn't stop.
No.
Unlike other
Unless it's for
sports
an
where
injury.
like there's like a play clock and then there's also like the game clock. This is just the game clock. Now they can add minutes
Yes.
if they want to, but otherwise, I'm sure they would stop it if like it was something serious, like if someone like
Right.
Got
snapped
hurt or
a leg
something.
or something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they
yeah,
typically do that.
Yeah, but for the most part, the clock doesn't stop until it's halftime, and then when the game is over. So it goes
Uh-huh.
by really quick, and everyone's always constantly moving. So it's
Yes.
definitely the more enjoyable sport to watch because it's constantly stuff is happening. So, and soccer players, I mean, I can't speak for American, but presumably this is just a soccer player thing. It's like watching a bunch of toddlers out on the playground trying to like play kickball
And keep away.
Keep away because they are the most melodramatic because they're trying to get a when like they trip or fall and they run into
penalty, yeah.
somebody. They're
They are
trying to
worse-
get them. They're trying to get a penalty for the other team, so they'll be on the ground rolling and just making all the faces like, "Oh my god, my head's popped off" or something, and then next thing you know, they're right back up and playing, and it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!" Oh,
They are
award
worse.
for most
They are worse
dramatic-
than Lakers players.
yeah.
Yes.
Soccer players are worse than anyone on the Lakers, and that is
Yeah,
saying something.
they have.
Yes.
It's like watching a bunch of toddlers that don't know that aren't coordinated enough yet to be playing a sport like this, but they damn sure try. Occasionally, there'll be a collision or something where I'm like, yeah, that probably actually hurt. Like there was one
Yeah.
guy that like he jumped thinking that he was going to do like a header with the
Ow.
ball and collided with someone else, and then when when gravity took over, he went head first into the ground. So I'm like, yeah, if he's complaining of a little owie, I would probably believe
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. To quote Sheldon, "Gravity, you are a mean so and so."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sports ball.
Mhm.
So, but other than that, it's pretty much either try to keep up on YouTube, Criminal Minds, and Inter Milan. And once Inter Milan is done for the season this Saturday, it's gonna be nothing but Criminal Minds.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. What I've been watching, an animated series that just started, I think episode 5 or 6 is going to air this Thursday. Unicorn Warrior Eternal. It's kind of a steampunk time travel animated story mystery, and ever since the first episode, it's had me on the word go, and it's on the Cartoon Network as part of their Adult Swim, and short 20-30 minute episodes. Another one I've been watching, Mom and I were looking for something to watch on the weekend over Memorial Day, and one of the TV channels was having a Las Vegas marathon, and it was an old NBC show in
I remember.
the 2000s with James Caan. Oh shoot, he was in the Transformer movies.
Oh yeah, what's his face?
Josh Duhamel, Vanessa Marseille. Yeah. And now it's going to make me want to go back to watch Crossing Jordan because they had a few crossover episodes and they were both on the same network. But I mean, if you want some absolutely funny stories, spot the guest stars. I mean, this was right when the XFL football or the Arena League football was really big, and John Elway and John Bon Jovi owned a team. So they're at the Montecito and they are just ribbing each other. And I think they even got each other with Silly String, if memory serves. It's interesting to watch. I don't think it's on any streaming services right now that I know of. So just keep your eye out. They might air them on some local channel, or they might have them on one of the free TV streaming schedule services. So if you can track them down, it's worth the watch. And then the last couple of things I've been watching, one of them is from Dimension 20. It's basically a channel that's got all these different types of tabletop role-playing games. And the one I'm watching right now is called The Ravening War, which is a sequel to, it's called The Crown of Candy, which is basically Candyland meets Game of Thrones.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's like candy and fruit and vegetables, but they're actually living. And whole conspiracy thing. There's a whole bunch of cool other programming on Dimension 20. There's Game Changer, which is kind of a no holds bar game scenario situation. And then there was one campaign they did called Coffin Run, which is basically kind of like a comedic Dracula run game. And then another one that I've watched, it's through Critical Role, and it's based off a new gaming system that they came up with, and they do it they just started, and it's going to be at the end of every month. It's called Candela Obscura. It's kind of steampunk meets Call of Cthulhu, but it's really interesting with the mystery and the way they have it set up. And they created their own gaming system with the dice style and gameplay mechanics. And for it being a first episode and me knowing a little bit about Call of Cthulhu and steampunk, it was really interesting with the cast of characters and how it's done. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one shakes out. So that's what I've been watching.
Awesome. I have to check out that Candela Obscura. I've never read Call of Cthulhu, but there's a lot of like things that are inspired by it that I like. So I'm like, I'm gonna give that a shot.
Yes. And that is on their YouTube channel. So if you do a search for that, you should be able to find it. It's not behind a paywall or anything, which is nice.
Yes, I'm all about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, well, I have been watching after kind of not wanting to because some of the WBDC show or CW.
Yeah.
How old am I? Some of those CWDC shows were kind of like, really, guys? But I heard so many good things about it. I'm watching Superman and Lois because I have been a Superman fangirl forever.
This one, I agree, is chef's kiss. This is a good one.
Yeah, I got because I don't have HBO Max or whatever they're calling it now. But I did find the first season of the DVDs at the library. And on my the day after my birthday, I said, Jared, when you take the kids somewhere so I can have the TV to myself? And I watched the first season, and I really liked it. I mean, it's still, it's still kind of got that overly dramatic teenage angst CW stuff. But the thing is, the teenagers, they're Superman and Lois's kids. So it's okay. It's not Superman, doing that. And he's a really, like, Clark is like, of course you're going to be an awesome dad. And you're going to, there's going to be stuff you're going to have to deal with. And it's lovely. So I got season 2. And so I've been kind of starting to work my way through that. I've been rewatching Inuyasha, which is, an anime from early 2000s. I mean, the manga went on and on and on because Rumiko Takahashi, her goal was to write 500 chapters of Inuyasha. And she finally did, but the anime ended before that. But then after the manga ended, they did like a final act to kind of end it all. And now they have a sequel series, which is Yashahime, which is about their kids. So, it's no spoiler to suggest that all the main characters get married and have kids. So I wanted to rewatch it before I went on to Yashahime. Although, Yasha has a lot of episodes. And they're all on Hulu, whereas Yashahime is on Crunchyroll. And it's like, explain this to me, guys.
Right.
But I have access to Hulu, and I also have the DVDs from way back when, and I'm also starting to collect some of the Blu-rays just so I can have them. So there's that, and then also this one just makes me so happy. So, like Rachel and Holly, I've been watching tons of YouTube, and one of the YouTube channels I follow, and I watch some sports YouTubers, especially they're mostly focused on football, NFL football, because I like football. This is American football. I should clarify. But sometimes the NFL, they do some really stupid things, and I just was really disgusted by all that. But then I discovered all these really fun YouTubers that were talking about the NFL and their fandom, and I'm like, okay, I can watch these guys cover all that stuff. So you guys are fun. I will support you, and I kind of keep track of it. Well, one of them, his name is Tom Grossi. He is a huge Green Bay Packers fan.
Cool.
To the point he has a podcast called the Patcast, and he always ends his shows with, as always, go Pat go. Well, now, but he also likes to, and he does some improv, and he does skits about the teams and things, and they're really funny. Well, a couple months ago, he got this idea that because there are 30 stadiums, 30 professional NFL stadiums, because there's a couple of teams that share. So there's 32 teams, but there's 30 stadiums. And June has 30 days. Well, what if you did a stadium a day?
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's an impressive challenge.
Yes. And he is doing this in order to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, which,
wow,
if you don't know, St. Jude's, there's a lot of kids who end up with some really terrible illness, especially cancer and things. But if they go to St. Jude's, they don't have to pay for the medical medical care or anything like this. They rely on donations. And Tom's goal, well, his stated goal is to raise $100,000. However, he in the process of going to all these stadiums, he's gonna have fan meetups. He is there's certain stretch goals, I guess. So the first one
kind of like a Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's kind of like Kickstarter, but whenever he does these charity drives, he's done charity live streams. They get to a certain point and he'll do something crazy. Okay, so he's a big Packers fan, and he calls the Minnesota Vikings the purple incarnation of Satan because he hates them. But it's very tongue in cheek.
Yes.
So he said, okay, he had the schedule out. He's going to start in Green Bay, and then it was Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit. So he's going to hit the AFC or the NFC North team, excuse me. Then he's like, if we raise $250 or $25,000 by day 2, I'll wear a Vikings jersey in Minnesota. And then the next one was 50,000. He would, if they raised 50,000, by the time he got to Buffalo, he would go jump through a table because that's what their fans do. And he did that the other day. Wow. Anyway, so he's making videos of him going to these stadiums, meeting these people. He talks to the locals, and they go support local businesses. And so every day in June, he's releasing a video of him doing this.
Wow.
And so that's what I've been watching, because it's you crazy son of a gun. I am in.
Yeah. Have any of the teams reached out to help?
So Green Bay helped out. And actually he was in Detroit 2 days ago. And he reached out to all the teams and say, hey, okay, I'm doing this, can I get a stadium tour? And some of them, like when he went to Chicago, the day that he scheduled, there's actually a Taylor Swift concert going on.
Oh.
And so that caused some issues.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I scheduled this before she scheduled hers. It was actually kind of funny. But
Taylor, who? I don't think so.
Yeah, don't think so. So yeah, but he was in Detroit the other day, and they were and they're just outside the stadium, so they're there's not, they're not trying to storm the doors or anything. But a security guard came up to him hey, what are you doing? And and he's just really polite and really sweet, and just said yeah, we tried contacting and didn't get an answer, but they we'll just go across the street, it'll be fine. And then somebody from the Lions office came out and said, hey, come on in. and they let him film like on the concourse and
Oh, cool.
some of the stuff in the stadium, which was kind of cool. So anyway, so big long-winded thing is this is a lot of fun, even if you have no interest in the NFL or football or anything. It's for a good cause. I kind of wanted to highlight it because this is kind of, and it's every day in June. He's going to be putting out a video, and he does some live streams on his channel and things, and on his Twitter. So you can so on his YouTube channel, it has the schedule of when he's going to be in certain cities on what days, and like and then there the announcement video will talk about the incentives, the stretch goals. Like there's the one I'm actually looking forward to, much to my dismay. He's supposed to, when it gets to I can't remember if it was like 500,000. If he gets to 500,000 raised by the time he gets to Vegas, he will do the big sky jump off of I think it's the stratosphere. And he's like, I am afraid of heights, but I'm gonna do this because it's for the kids.
Brave soul.
Brave soul. And then if he gets 1 million, he will get a tattoo, which he is. And it's just so funny and so wholesome and so sweet. And it's like you peel back the corporate, the glitz, the glamour of professional football, and you get to talk to the fans and the people who like have grown up with the teams, for whom the teams mean so much, and it's like getting kind of to the core of it. And I kind of love that, and it's like making me enjoy sports more, because I have been kind of gotten a little cynical about the corporatization of it and the political dumbassery. I'm just gonna say it of some of these leagues. And I'm like, this is turning out, this is fun again. This is a lot of fun. So like watching these guys who are just really passionate about it and who like want to give back and do good things. And I'm like, I can support that totally. So yeah, so I've been watching him. I've also been following, it's so funny. There's the NBA Finals and the NHL Stanley Cup. They're going on relatively at the same time. And I just love that Denver knocked off the Lakers, because I hate the Lakers with the burning fury of 1,000 suns, because they are just, when you're in the Western Conference and you have to face those divas, and everybody in the media is just like, oh, the Lakers are, God's gift to basketball. And I'm just kind of like, middle fingers right there. And like they were doing the same thing. And it's not like I'm a big fan of the Nuggets as such, but it's like they're like an intermount. They're the mountain time zone, kind of feel a kindred spirit with them. It's not like that my Jazz are doing jack or crap right now. So it's like, that big tall Serbian Jokic, I'll cheer for him. Sure, he knocked off LeBron, so good. So I'm kind of pulling for Denver in the finals and been watching that. And then also with hockey, it amuses me that the two teams that are left are Vegas and Florida, which are like, Vegas is in the desert and Florida is the tropics, and it's hockey. And I've always had a soft spot for Florida for the most part. So I'm like, I know Vegas is. I'm like sandwiched between Colorado and Nevada, but I don't know. I'm kind of like Florida. Let's go Florida. Let's go the Panthers, because I guess they've had some issues with their team, and like I know basketball. I don't know much about hockey. I'm kind of like Rachel in soccer. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I just know that that little rubber circle that goes in the net. That's how they score, and people punch each other out.
Yeah.
So, but it is fun to watch. So.
Yep.
But so when I catch it, mostly I kind of follow it on social media and like Twitter and YouTube and stuff. But it's fun. I'm getting back into.
For me, hockey, it's like I don't really care what's happening with the game. That's just the stuff that happens in between the fights.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just
and
like,
the broken sticks.
why are there so many fights in hockey? It's like if there was a fight in the sports I tend to follow, like everyone would get suspended, but they're like, nah, they just go sit in the box for a while. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, and of course I'm just catching up. Like over the weekend, I swear I was so far behind on all my YouTube channels. It's like that's all I was doing. And Jared was like, "Here, come help me with this," and I couldn't hear him because I had my earbuds in. I'm like watching all my YouTube stuff. Somehow, like just over this last week, all my channels just put
Posted
out really
content.
long things, lots of content. And I'm like, must support, because I love it. Just these regular people just doing their thing. Anyway, that's all my watching and stuff.
For me, it's gonna be very boring because I haven't been watching anything. Like I have a bunch of shows that I either need to finish from because the season's over and I have a bit of a backlog for them. And there's also shows that I've been wanting to start, but I just haven't been in like that watching mood, I guess.
I hear you. I know what you're getting at.
And most of the YouTube videos that I've been watching, like I was mainly background stuff, like it's stuff I don't actually have to watch.
Yeah.
So it's been more like background noise while I'm doing other things. So I haven't really like sat down and watched anything relatively recently. Like, I need to fix this.
It's the summertime. I mean, for the
Yeah.
most part, it's sports is really it.
Yeah,
We're in that
yeah.
weird time right now where we've got hockey and basketball. Although I swear the hockey season never actually ends.
Right.
I swear they
Yeah.
hand out the stand. It's like, oh, so and so won this. This team won the Stanley Cup, and then like 2 weeks later, they're like, and a new NHL season has started. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, really?
Game on.
But and before you know it, it's gonna be football season again. We'll be in preseason for the NFL. So
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
it's 5 bazillion degrees outside, and the Colts will be headed to training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it just never ends. It feels like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the Olympics next year. So
Yeah.
true. Too.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to what we are looking ahead towards. And honestly, this list could be so long. It's like, how far do you want me to go? Right? Like in the near future, I got PopCon Louisville, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after that, which is very scary to say because I have so much crap to do between now and then, but I will get to that. Like I'm very excited and also very scared. It's like, holy crap, I've got so much to do. But I'm also very excited because it's a PopCon, so it's going to be a good time, and I'm looking forward to being back in that crowd again with all those familiar faces. And then, of course, not long after that, the end of July, we've got Good Omens Season 2. Oh, like the minute that drops on Amazon, they're like, yes.
Nobody disturb me for the next
Right.
however many long.
Yep. It's
This
going to
week,
be like
I need
putting
to watch
on
it the same episode twice in a row. So if I missed anything the first go round, I get it the second.
Yeah. It's like it's going to be like putting on a familiar pair of shoes that has been sitting in your closet for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for the right opportunity to come out and be useful again. So I know it's exactly what it's going to be like. I'm like, oh, I missed you too.
Mm-hmm.
Xerophil Growly. Everything's right with the world again.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
The team up of Tennant and Sheen yet again.
oh my god, yes.
Your bliss.
Yeah, I'm a bit peeved because staged season 3 is finally going on streaming here, but it's not going to be on Hulu, it's going to be on BritBox.
Ooh.
So
Why did they do
if
that, I
you were
wonder?
like me and watched Stage season 1 and 2 on Hulu and have been looking forward to watching season 3, sorry about your luck.
Well, now, Rachel, to sway, BritBox has all the majority of the classic Doctor Who stuff
Well, yeah, I know.
in streaming, including the Fiveish Doctor's reboot.
Yeah, but I also own most of that. So.
True, yeah, same here. But desperate times sometimes call for desperate measures when you can't bring the DVD player and send DVDs with you.
Yeah,
That is true. Although
that's why I like to own physical media for a lot of things, but I also, if stuff's available on digital, I will get it digital too, because then I only need to carry around a little flash drive.
which is useful.
Yeah,
And it's good to have backups.
that too. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I recently rearranged all our DVDs and I'm like, I got so much classic Doctor Who, and I'm like, I regret nothing.
Nope.
It's like, it's Doctor Who. Like even with the changing of attitudes when it comes to like physical media and stuff. With Doctor Who, you just never know when stuff just may disappear and you're not able to get your hands on it. So if you got physical copies of Doctor Who, hold on to it with your dear lives.
Oh yeah, this is with all our physical media, because I'm like, I'm very wary of like, I don't want all my stuff just in some nebulous cloud somewhere. I gotta hang on to this. This is my thing. And yes, we don't have a lot of room for stuff, but go ahead.
It surprised me every now and again. It surprised me because every now and again I'll come home and I'm just like, "Where'd you get that DVD, Mom?" She's like, "Oh, it was in the cheap dump bin somewhere." And it's like, "Yeah, I know we already got a copy, but I just thought backup copy." I'm just like, "Good idea, just in case if something happens." I'm just like, "Mom, hey, good idea."
This is why Chauncey and I had to start a document cataloging all everything we own, on whether we have it on DVD or on Blu-ray or in some cases VHS or digital.
Man. Yep. I think we're gonna need to do something similar, because it's getting a little crazy, but at the same time, I mean, streaming subscriptions are expensive, man. And it just keeps going up and up and up. But it's like, I will just buy this Blu-ray and I have it and no one can take it from me. So
And usually when you buy the physical, the nice thing is it comes with the streaming thing for free.
That is true. It comes with a digital copy. So we all win. Anyway.
So but yeah. And of course in between that, in a couple of weeks, actually, we will be getting Secret Invasion. So,
I'm
excited.
I didn't forget about
that.
Yeah,
it's like I didn't forget about it.
That's because it's a secret.
Didn't realize how soon it was coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Secret Invasion be June 21st, and of course we got Good Omens, and then we get Ahsoka in August. So that will keep me busy for the summer, at least. In between, it's like I'll do Popcorn Louisville, and then I'll get Secret Invasion, and then I'll do In Conjunction, and then I'll get Good Omens season 2, and then I'll do Gen Con, and PopCon Indy, and then somewhere in there I'll also get Ahsoka. So
I'm sensing a
it's
pattern
Labor
here.
Day. So
I'm sensing a pattern. Con TV
Yeah.
show, con TV series,
that's
con
pretty
TV
much
series.
what my summer is going to be like, honestly. So
Well, at least you won't be
um,
bored.
No.
yeah, and I mean between that and then the family stuff that we got to do and would like to do and this that and the other thing, and I was really hoping to go to Las Vegas. Speaking of Las Vegas, this summer, but it looks like it's going to be probably early fall.
Honestly, that's the better time to go to Vegas, because if you go to Vegas in
It
the summer,
probably is. I mean, I've
you
done
will
Vegas in the middle
fry.
of summer. It's not too bad if you stay inside. So
Yeah, you don't go out in the middle of the day in the summer in Vegas. You just don't.
yeah. So yeah.
For me, what I'm anticipating, short and sweet, Good Omens 2, and then all the goodness that is going to be coming from Big Finish Audio for the 60th anniversary.
Mhm.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Which those are supposed to start dropping soonish.
Yep.
Yeah. So on my list is, Big Finish, convention stuff. So I got Salt Lake FanX in September. And I didn't put this down, but also Jared and I are helping out with ToshoCon again. That's our library systems anime convention for teens. So we're on the committee again, which that is also in September. I forgot but I think it's like a few weeks before FanX. So I'm in charge of the AMV contest. So I've got to get judges and all that stuff, but it's always a good time. And then I have two, well, I guess technically three movies, but one of them's a part 1 and 2. So Sailor Moon Cosmos, which adapts the basically season 5, or the Star story arc in the manga. So it's going to be in 2 parts. I don't know if it's going to be a theatrical release in North America. I do know that the first part is out in Japan. It came out over the weekend, I believe. I can't remember. And then the second part will come out at the end of this month. I linked to the Japanese trailer. There isn't an English dubbed trailer yet that I have been able to find. I am sure it will be following, probably be on Netflix. And speaking of physical media, because they had Sailor Moon Eternal on Netflix and they still have not released it on Blu-ray, which I'm very annoyed about, because the rest of my Sailor Moon Crystal collection is just sitting there by itself, and I need part 4, dang you. So there's that. That's coming out this summer. Well, I don't know. The English dub will probably late summer, early fall, maybe. Don't know for sure, but I do know that it's out in Japan, so yay, or will be. And then the other one, which we actually do have a date for this one, is the movie for Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir, which I have been enjoying the TV show, although this mostly this season has gotten a little weird. So I'm kind of hoping the movie, from what I've been able to tell, is sort of a recap of where we got this far. And it's looking like it's a little more streamlined and less flittering about and questionable choices. Also, the animation on it is gorgeous. Like, I mean, I like the show, the Miraculous Ladybug. I like the show. I like the animation style, because it's a TV show. You don't have a huge budget, and it's like it doesn't really matter, because you lean into sort of your budgetary limitations and you have a certain style of animation. Well, now this has like a major budget behind it, and holy cow, like the character designs, and just it's like you can tell there's still those same characters, but they're just a little more, I guess is what I'm saying. So I'm actually really excited about this. It's supposed to be on Netflix. I mean, and this trailer that I linked to, it has been dubbed in English because it's a French production. based on a French comic, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. But anyway, French comics, they are surprisingly really well done, and I never really knew that there was that kind of tradition in France, but now I'm learning, so it's awesome. But yeah, so Miraculous is going to be a lot of fun, I think, and I really hope that we get the whole story and possibly sequels. But anyway, so Netflix, this should be on Netflix July 28th. So that's what I am anticipating. Going forward.
I'm anticipating pretty much like all like the shows that we already mentioned, like Good Omens, Ahsoka, Secret Invasion, all that lovely stuff. And I also play this game called Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is basically you live in this kind of valley and you build it up, kind of like Animal Crossing, but with Disney characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in early access, and I'm all caught up with like all the story. And like, there's a new big update coming. All I see is early June, which considering now it's June, I'm like, it's only June. Who is this? But I'm pretty sure it's coming out either the end of this week or next week.
Yeah, I'm like, I think we're early June now.
Right. Yeah.
So like I'm like anticipating like all the goodness of that. 'Cause they always like add more characters. Like this one, they already announced is going to be the fairy godmother from Cinderella is supposed to pop up, which would be fun. And plus all the like secret stuff that they won't mention. I'm patiently waiting for this. I'm probably gonna drop when I'm in the middle of doing something else, so like I have to wait anyway. I mean, my luck.
Well, it'll get there.
Yep. And besides family-related things, that's about it. And I'm excited for this summer.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next up is the stuff that we are working on. Working 9 to 5.
Or are we not doing the listening to? Or are we saving that?
Oh yeah, no, we are doing the listening to. Sorry, I was just gung ho for the Dolly Parton reference, and
Hey,
You
it
scrolled a
was. I
little
mean,
too far.
yeah,
it was a good reference. Everyone loves
Yes.
Dolly.
yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, Miss Dolly.
Movement.
Yep.
Sorry, Miss Dolly. I got ahead of myself. Yeah, listening to which this is could still be audio books technically, but it's
Yep.
not something that you could actively read either, at least not in the form that it's presented in this case. So in my case, thank you, Audible. And those Audible credits, I finally downloaded part 3 of The Sandman. So, which I've, at the rate we're going, they're gonna have all of The Sandman done in audio version, full cast audio version, way before the Netflix series ever gets caught.
Yeah.
Not that I'm complaining. I like both, but
Mhm.
for different reasons. Like, because the audio, the cast, I really love some of the cast. Obviously, it's kind of a who's who of some favorites.
Yes.
And of course, Neil Gaiman's friends as well. So you got David Tennant playing Loki. Michael Sheen is Lucifer. So
Yeah.
I love Kat
no, the
Dennings.
jokes
I
are not-
love, no offense to the gal that plays Death in the Netflix version, but I love Kat Dennings as Death.
Yes.
So yeah, so but the Audible Sandman adaptations because it's not like just someone reading a book. It's like Big Finish. It is a full cast audio,
Production, yeah.
music and sound, and yeah, it's a full on sensory production. It is. They're so good. Also a little terrifying,
Oh yeah.
but that's just the story. So
Little theater of the mind for you.
little bit. But yeah, other than that, I just I got a bazillion podcasts and I'm also grossly behind on those. Those take a back seat the minute I get an audiobook. So they just collect. Thankfully with podcasts, they don't have due dates, unlike the stuff I borrow from Libby, Libby in my library. It does have due dates. So
Those take precedent.
yes, they kind of do. And then if I'm at the gym, I got my usual playlists, Spotify playlists that I bounce around between. Just kind of depends on what kind of mood I'm in. So whether it's my workout playlist, which is a little bit of everything, I've got a heavy metal playlist, which is the entire Metallica discography
there.
with some of their contemporaries thrown in. There's some Megadeth, Avenged, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, the like that are thrown in there too. So I'll probably gear up to listening to more Metallica the closer we get to seeing Metallica, but that's not till November. So I know Chauncey's had their new album pretty much on repeat since it came out. So I'll put that as an addendum to my listening to via osmosis when Chauncey's listening to 72 Seasons for the 5 bazillionth time.
Cool. For me, my various and sundry podcasts that I've had, and then most currently Supernatural Then and Now, Richard Spate and Rob Benedict. They're back with season 4 with behind the scenes stuff with interviews from cast and crew, which have been very interesting. And then a quasi new to me podcast that's D&D is called Of Dice and Friends, and kind of a group of characters who die, come back, and have to figure out why that happened. And then they have Patreon subscribers who actually every week they can help with dice rolls, and just like, okay, if they get this, you can change that. And it's been real interesting. And the gameplay, they're only like 45 minutes to an hour 20 long. So they've been enjoyable to listen to.
That's not very long for a D&D session.
No, they keep it kind of short, sweet, to the point. I mean, but they always wind up ending it on a cliffhanger, and it's just like, next week. So, but yeah, I mean, it's enjoyable with the format that they've got. So, cool. Yep, that's all I've got for the moment for listening, besides my usual music playlist. So,
yeah. For me, my music playlist, because now now that school's out, I am driving to work with my kids, dropping them off at my in-laws on my way to work. So I am listening to the Onward soundtrack over and over and over again, because that's
cool.
That's what they're into now. Although the one song that has lyrics, they sing it in the back seat. It's called the song is called "Carried Me With You." It's the one that plays over the credits on Onward, and they sing along to it, and then it finishes, and Lottie goes, "I love "Carry Me With You." Like, they're so cute. So it is cute to hear them, and they're like, there's like the music, like, oh, Barley's coming to get Ian from school. Oh no, there's the big chase. There's this. Oh, it's so cute. But yeah, so I'm not really listening to any of my music, because when I after I drop them off, and then I listen to audiobooks, podcasts, what have you. But I was going to put this up in books. I was like, no. I'm listening to the graphic audio, which is basically a full cast production. I'm on book 2 of the Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Book 2 is A Court of Mist and Fury. So I kind of got onto this because I had somebody ask me for the first book at the library, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm sure we have that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like a gazillion people waiting for it on hold. And I was like, is there a movie coming out? Like, what is going on? Although I guess the next book had just come out is what it was. But I was like, this book's been out for a while. So I got on hold on Libby, and I noticed that there was the audiobook and the graphic audio version, which is the one with like the full cast. But it's like there's also like the narrator reads most of the book, and the lines are read by the other voice actors doing the text. So it's still an audiobook, but it's also got, sound effects and a full cast and all that stuff. So it's kind of a good blend between a radio play and an audiobook. And anyway, the audio,
that's what the Sandman is like, because Neil Gaiman narrates. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the gal who plays Feyre, who's the main character, she reads, because it's all from her point of view, or at least the first book is. So I got the graphic audio first of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm like, I'm just gonna try this out and listen to it because I know it's popular, and I know there's been a little bit of controversy, just based on it was cataloged as teen, like YA fiction, and then I'm listening to it. I'm like, this isn't teen. This is so not teen. I mean, it reads like a YA novel, but the subject matter, I mean, the characters, they act like adults. They are adults, even though it's like, so I guess it's that weird new adult genre, which I don't really like, because it's like you're kind of talking down to 20-year-olds, which I don't think is right, but that's me. But so now, because I know they used to be shelved in the teen section in our library, and people got mad, and they're like, okay, we'll move it over to the adult, which teens still read them, so whatever. But no, it was like really good. Like, it has been so long since I have read or even listened to a story that like has that fantasy, thriller, romance kind of, I don't know. It's just, I used to really love YA fiction, and then it's just kind of gotten so weird and bizarre over the last few years. But I'm like, oh my gosh, this story, it's kind of like, it's like a mishmash of like Beauty and the Beast and a couple other folk tales, and it's so good. And the cast was amazing, and I was like, I'm in love. I love it. So I finally got A Court of Mist and Fury, which is book 2. And I've been listening to that one recently, and I'm like, let's go into this and see. Hopefully I still like it. I was spoiled on a few things, because I was just like, when I was initially researching it, like what it was about, because whenever a book is popular, and I have no idea why, because it's not new and there's not necessarily a movie or anything coming out, I really have to, like, I have to know what is going on. Then I found out. So anyway, so that's been fun. And of course, some podcasts and my YouTube videos that are more like podcasts, I guess. I don't know. But I listen to them when I'm like, doing laundry or pottering around the house and whatnot. So that's all. Yeah, those graphic audios, those are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
For me, what I've been listening to, besides like Spotify music and all that, is I have this app called History Hit, which does like a bunch of history documentaries and podcasts. So I've been working my way through the different podcasts I have, because like each podcast has like over hundreds of episodes. I'm like, oh my goodness. The 2 main ones I've been listening to, one was called Not Just a Tudors, which is like random subjects about like the late 15th century to the early 16th century. Oh, uh, wait, I, my brain's not working. From the late 15th century to the very early 17th century.
Okay.
And then also Gone Medieval, which is before that, like right before that, Tudor era. It talks about like all the kings and queens from the era and Vikings and all that fun stuff.
Cool. Okay, now we can go to what we're working on.
Yes.
Okay, Dolly.
Okay,
All
darling.
right. Now we're working 9 to 5. Uh, um, I don't know what she's talking about. 9 to 5. I've been up since 6 a.m. That's not Dolly's fault though. Uh, got insomnia. No. Mostly it's for getting ready for convention season. Like I said, PopCon Louisville is next week. So how did that happen? Oh my goodness. So yeah, because I'm tabling, which I have my table assignment. I'll post on our social medias like the table number, and I'm doing 2 panels. And I've got the schedule for that, so I will post that as well. But then at the table, I'm gonna have all sorts of stuff. I'm gonna have goodies for the younglings that come by. Bits and bobs for them. We're gonna be holding a raffle as well, as a fundraiser for our nonprofit, and we have some honestly really amazing stuff that's going to go into this bundle. I need to figure out what exactly, because I reached out to some companies that I had had either received emails or whatever through Gen Con, obviously. Doing press for Gen Con however many years I've been doing at this point. I've got have gotten emails from most of the gaming companies out there that come to Gen Con. So names that people will recognize. So I mean, obviously, we've given away stuff in the past. We got some stuff from Funko. We gave away the Golden Girls expansion to the Funko game one year. So yeah, we've gotten stuff to give away in the past. So this time I reached out to a number of gaming companies, and a couple of them were like, absolutely, what's your mailing address? And then they were like, it's on its way. And I've got quite the pile, but it's not all just for Louisville. It's going to be spread out between Louisville, in conjunction, and PopCon Indy. So what potentially could be in said raffle bundle, it's going to be a surprise for both you and me. Plus, one of the panels I'm doing is a game as well, so some of the stuff will have to be divided up for prizes for that as well. So, along with some other stuff, I've been like a magpie,
Getting all the shiny stuff.
getting all the shiny stuff, and now I've got this big old pile of shiny stuff, and now I got to figure out how to use it best. So. But that's again a first world fandom problem, and I can't say thank you enough to I guess as a to wet your whistle, I cannot say thank you enough to the folks at Cards Against Humanity and Exploding Kittens
Oh boy.
for their
Just a little
generosity. Yeah.
Sneak peek taste.
So, yep. So some people know what we've been sent. Obviously, Chauncey has seen it because it's all sitting in a pile. But yeah, so fun times, fun times. Some of the stuff I'm like, some of them I'm like, should I give this out as a prize or should this be a punishment for something? There's one in particular that honestly I think it should be more of a punishment more than anything. But we'll see. We'll see. So, but yeah, that's what I've pretty much been doing is, you know, I'm like, and I've doing a bunch of crafty type stuff for other things that will be available for donations. You know, if people just they don't necessarily want to get into the raffle, but you know, we've got stuff that you can get in return if you just want to give a donation for the heck of it. So that's mostly what I've been doing. That's what the Criminal Minds comes in handy. I got Criminal Minds playing in the background while I'm doing like paper crafting. I've gone through 3 glue sticks in like the last week. So I'm surprised my fingers have not stuck together at this point. And then on top of all that, I still have to do my gold standard homework.
Oh boy. Yeah, I guess
I got an episode of Gold Standard to record later this week, and I don't know what's going on with my library at the moment, but like I try to request stuff, you know, as soon as I make my list and realize, you know, I make a list for each episode of, you know, the movie obviously that we're doing, that's the best picture winner, but then I also look at the other movies. They were either nominated or just came out that same year. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen that, I want to watch that. So then I go to justwatch.com, which is almost
that is
like
a godsend.
Oh, yes, it is. It's essentially like your card catalog of your library, but for streaming.
Yep.
So you can adjust movies, TV shows. You can look by actor. You can look by director. Yeah, it most of the time it is fairly accurate. Always double check though if it says it's available, like on a streaming service that you use.
Correct.
Click on it and check. Just occasionally, or it is on that said streaming service. Make sure it's in English.
That too,
because there's been a few times where it's been like, oh yeah, this is on like this streaming website, and I go to it and it's like it's in Spanish, and I'm like, that doesn't help me any.
If I knew Spanish, it wouldn't be a problem.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So, but for the most part, yeah. Well, usually the subtitles are also in Spanish, so that doesn't help me either. But yeah, it's a great website. I highly recommend it. You know, if you're like, hey, where, you know, I want to watch this, where can I find it? Go to Just Watch, and it will tell you where it's in theory,
I have that
available,
one.
so.
I have that one bookmarked.
Yes.
It's like
so. But yeah, I will usually go to Just Watch, input each movie, see where if it's available streaming anywhere, and then on what service. And if it's one I have, then great, I'll just watch it on that streaming. If it's not and we don't own it, then obviously I need to request it from the library. So I try to do that as soon as possible. Usually right after we finish an episode, I will immediately start prepping for the next one. So in theory, I got like 2 weeks, but I don't know what's going on with my library at the moment, but the transfer time to get stuff sent to my branch, it's slower than molasses in wintertime. So
I
um,
would call them and see, because I mean I don't know how your system, or like how you guys, if it's like mailed or there's like a delivery truck or something, because
I don't know, but I mean, I
yeah,
can log in and it'll show whether it's in
yeah,
transit or not. And
yeah.
like everything is currently in transit, so it should be
Okay.
here soon.
Well, give it a few days. If it's not there in like, I would call and be like, is there something going on?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because if something has kind of like gotten stuck, it is helpful to know, for them to know, and for you to like know like, oh, this is what's going on. So
Yeah.
I know, like, because when we had one of the delivery drivers was out for a good chunk of time, and they had to have like substitute delivery drivers, everything was a lot slower. And yeah, we had issues like that, and patrons wondering, where's my stuff, it's usually here by
Mhm.
now. And they're like, well, and then we could tell them this is what the situation is. So,
Yeah.
and or sometimes stuff gets lost, which I really hope that's not the case, because that's a lot
Yeah,
of
'cause
stuff to get lost.
Yeah.
yeah, I have like 7 things on hold at the moment, and they all say in transit.
Ooh.
Not all of it's gold standard stuff.
Mhm.
Some of it's books and just like
Yeah.
other random movies. So I'm like, I just want to watch that. But yeah, at the very least, it's like I kind of need the best picture winner to get here before I have to record on Thursday. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
at the very least, I should be like, I might get that copy of Crash here before Thursday. So.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much my life at the moment is having something playing in the background while I go through every glue stick in the central Indiana area. And hope my fingers don't get stuck together.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I am I am up to my earlobes in summer reading stuff at work. So when I hear working on, I'm like, I've got this program coming up. I've got this thing I've got to do, and holy cow, it's chaos at work. Although I will say, this week on Saturday, anyone who's local listening, we are having, we're because the theme for summer reading is that it's all together now, and I don't know if it's sort of a national thing, so there might be other libraries in your neck of the woods doing this. But it's like supposed to be about friendship and kindness and community. So we're doing the community helpers truck rally. So basically, we've got like fire trucks and police cars and garbage trucks, and the National Guard is sending over like a Humvee and a couple of, and the city's sending some other things, and they're going to be out in the parking lot, and you can get up close with them. The kids love it, especially the fire trucks, and we might be having a life flight helicopter. We're not sure yet. So that's this Saturday, and of course that has been a huge undertaking. But this is kind of our big to do for the summer of what's going on. So yeah, working as far as like working on. I'm like, I come home and I'm like, I'm going to watch something, or I'm going to listen to YouTube videos, and I'm gonna color because I'm so busy at work right now. And I'm gonna feed my
mhm.
kids, obviously. But projects, it's work stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this is going to be a never-ending project. Trying to cut down on my to be read ketchup pile, books and shows, and then also trying to finish up my Torchwood audio backlog from Big Finish. I'm 4 or 5 episodes behind on the main range, and then they released a trilogy that ties into 2 3-part series from earlier in the run, and it's just like, I better re-listen to those so I can catch up with this one. So So that'll be fun to enjoy. I'm not complaining, but it's like, oh my goodness. First world fan problems. Yay! Where to
Mhm.
start?
Right.
Poor Brittany just has work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're keeping her busy.
Yes.
It's exciting
But she
though.
does
We
get to see
enjoy
a lot
the
of cute doggos, so
yeah.
Okay, I
So
didn't
we do
realize I
enjoy the
was
dog
muted.
pictures. Yep. We do enjoy the dog pictures.
Yes, we do.
yes.
All the doggy pictures. Always.
Yes.
So I do get a bit of a break before the next dog show, so I can relax a little bit.
Yay!
Oh, well,
Next
that's
one is
good.
September.
Well,
And
that's
that's a
good.
Good.
big
Yeah.
one. I'm tired, but I'm busy with that stuff. And then my mom and I have decided that we're gonna combine our resources and buy a house.
Oh,
Oh,
Wow.
cool.
that's exciting.
Nice.
And now we're just we have a good amount saved. Now we're just trying to find a place that's close to, because we both don't want to like change our jobs because we both like our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Don't blame you.
But we also not looking in Pennsylvania because property tax there is a whole lot cheaper than New Jersey. Shocking.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah, I bet.
But luckily, like my job where it is already like right basically on the border, so it's not going to be too bad. And my mom's job's not too far away from that either. So we're working on that fun stuff. Hopefully get a place by like fall, we're hoping.
Fingers crossed and good vibes. You're in your
Yes.
mom's
Mm-hmm.
way.
Yes. It's
Yeah, because
we did
Hopefully-
that last year.
yeah.
And we did
I
that
hope
last year, and it was
fall
like,
and then you can close fairly quickly because I've moved in the middle of winter. It's not fun.
I've done it too.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it's definitely not fun.
No.
no.
Yeah. Moved
Yeah,
in the middle
I
of winter.
mean-
Not fun. No.
Especially like when
Yeah.
it looks like it would be nice and all of a sudden freak snowstorm. Like seriously?
Uh-huh.
Also, hire people to help you move. They are worth. It's expensive, but it is worth every penny because that's what we had to do.
Mm.
It was great. Yes, best of luck because whew, housing is nuts.
Uh-huh.
I know it is here. I don't know where it is where you're looking. Jeez. Oh boy. Well, anyway, so is that it? That what we do? That's what we're doing. Our current
Yeah.
Yep.
That is
ninth
enough.
anniversary. That is
Mhm.
enough. So hopefully
Yes.
we have given you ideas for reading, listening, watching things you want to do. If any of this has piqued your interest, we will have links in the show notes for all the things you can learn more or figure out where to obtain these things. I mean, like we said, a lot of this is on YouTube, so if you can get on YouTube, you should be good. And those show notes are at our website, which is thefivishfangirls.com. And that, like I said, show notes has links to all of our social media where you can leave comments. You can also send us feedback at our email address, which is fivishfangirls@gmail.com. And you can also help support the podcast through our Patreon and our merch shop, which are, like I said, all linked to the website. And leave us a review on your podcast app service thing, because that helps us with visibility and what have you. So yeah, so check it out. Anything, and I would really, if you read or watch or partake in any of these things, send us your thoughts on it, because it'd be so cool to just be like, you love this thing too, or oh, you didn't like it. Well, that's okay. But it's just interesting to hear what other people are thinking of the stuff we're interested in, and we'll definitely read that as feedback. And of course, we thank you for listening, and thank you for feedback and commenting and interacting with us on social media. It's awesome. doing that. So
Mhm.
hope everybody is doing well and all the best for.
Yes.
And if you're in the northern hemisphere, stay cool this summer because I'm
Uh-huh.
done. I'm
Yeah.
already. It's the beginning of June and I'm already done. It's summertime. It's gonna be a long one. And if you're in the southern hemisphere and you're having winter, I'm jealous. Just because it's cooler
Mhm.
or fall or whatever's going on. I don't.
Not what we have here.
Nope.
No, it is the opposite.
Yes.
I am tired of sweating.
I don't mind so much. But that's me. Anyway.
There are two kinds of people.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. Well, it's been real, folks. We really appreciate y'all sticking around for 9 years.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, and if anyone out there is or knows a wealthy benefactor that wants to pay for all of us to get together for our 10th anniversary, well, you know how to reach us because Chrissy
Yes.
just told you.
Mhm.
Yes. Reach out on the website and the email and the socials.
Yep.
Because
Mhm.
yeah, we'll take a sponsorship. Sure, we'll show.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
within
Within
reason.
reason.
Yes.
We'll
I don't
hash
think
that
I don't think I'm up. Yeah,
We'll
I
hash
don't
those
think I'm up
details
for a
out
Raid Shadow
off the air.
Legend sponsorship, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my.
Oh, anyway, with
Okay.
that, we
With that.
better skedaddle.
Yeah, we're going to sign off for this week.
this is Brittany and Beverages saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm just saying, you know how many companies we name dropped in this episode? Audible, Amazon, all the gaming companies. Just saying.
Thank you for listening to the Fiveish Fangirls. Please visit thefiveishfangirls.com for details on how to further support the show, along with information on our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back. We love our Fiveish fam and appreciate all of your feedback, shares, and encouragement. Remember to keep letting your geek flag fly.